My question is to the Premier. Personal support workers have been on the front lines caring for our most vulnerable seniors throughout this pandemic. They are the healthcare heroes that all of us in this House have rightfully applauded for over a year and a half. They witnessed and worked through the horrors of the long-term care system firsthand without the support that they needed. They often did not have the right PPE. Yet, they have not received a permanent pay increase, Speaker. In fact, the temporary pandemic pay bump is set to expire on October 31st with no further plans. So my question is, Speaker, will the Premier commit to providing a permanent raise for PSWs today?
Our government is incredibly grateful for the contributions of Ontario's healthcare workers and the critical role, Mr. Speaker, that they've played throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, providing patients and Ontarians with timely, safely and equitable access to high-quality care. Mr. Speaker, what she's referring to, the bill that my colleague is referring to, is designated to protect the those public sector jobs, Mr. Speaker, and those vital frontline services, which are essential in our fight against COVID-19. Mr. Speaker, this is a fair, consistent and time-limited approach that will enable us to be able to protect those frontline workers and the jobs that our Ontarians rely on, Mr. Speaker. And it's important to note, Mr. Speaker, that Ontario's public sector employees will still be able to receive salary increases, Mr. Speaker, for seniority.
Speaker, I'm not sure if the member understood my question. Time is of the essence. Every few months, PSWs in this province have to wait and see if their pay will change, if the temporary pay increase will continue. Ontario frontline heroes do not deserve to live with such uncertainty about their livelihood. If the government intends to give PSWs a permanent pay increase, they should announce it now. Will the government finally say yes to a permanent pay increase to Ontario's PSWs?
Again, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for the questions. Our government has great consideration for the important work that's carried out by frontline workers and all public sector workers, Mr. Speaker. We value everything that they do on behalf of all Ontarians, Mr. Speaker, and that's why Ontario is proud of the temporary pandemic pay that we provided, a generous support that was provided during the global pandemic, Mr. Speaker.
And those thousands of workers are calling on the government for some certainty right now. It is time for bold action. After more than a year and a half of this pandemic, we continue to face a huge shortage of PSW recruitment. Part of that shortage is because the work is hard, the hours are long, and the pay is insufficient, and the jobs are not full-time. Speaker, as we enter this phase of Ontario's recovery, especially in the healthcare sector, it is time for the Premier to take bold action, something we have yet to see from this Premier and this government, to get PSWs full-time and better-paying jobs. So again, Mr. Speaker, will the Premier finally say yes to PSWs and announce today a permanent wage increase? Thank you, Speaker.